I have great relationship with the Mexican people. I have many people working for me. You can look at the job in Washington. I have many legal immigrants working for me. Many of them come from Mexico. They love me, I love them. And I'll tell you something, if I get the nomination, I'll win the Latino vote. I will win it because I'm going to create jobs. Hillary Clinton is not going to be able to create jobs, I will tell you right now. Neither is Jeb Bush going to be able to create jobs. I will create jobs, and the Latinos will have jobs that they don't have right now, and I will win that vote.
I got to tell you something, folks, and welcome to hour number 2 of the Steve Malzberg Show. You know, all he has to do, he must employ thousands of Hispanics, and all he has to do is, you know, have press conferences and have a bunch of them behind him, or send out them as surrogates to talk to the media or to be there with him and vouch for him. I mean, he's going to make a case even on that issue. Now, there's a new poll out, which we're going to talk about in just a second, but I will, you know, grease the skids, as they say. There's a new poll that has Donald Trump leading the Republican field nationally. That's right, breaking as we take to air in this hour. It's a new poll from The Economist and YouGov, and Donald Trump has 15%, and that's 4 more than the next closest Republican presidential candidate, who is Governor Jeb Bush. Also, Senator Rand Paul. They are tied for second place. Also, just moments ago, Nikki Haley, the governor of South Carolina, Republican, of course, I might add, minority, of course, on 2 fronts, she signed into law the bill banning the Confederate flag from the State House property. So we have that to talk about. We have Joe Biden to throw in, Hillary not knowing what a subpoena is, apparently. And to share in all that conversation is Hank Sheinkopf, president of Sheinkopf Communications, Democratic political consultant, Newsmax contributor. Hello, sir.
What's your name again?
I don't know.
Good to see you.
I don't know. Trump something. I got actually guy on the street selling buttons. I got my Trump button.
Is that a new name? Trump Malzberg?
Trump Malzberg.
Very nice.
Malzberg
I like
Trump.
It. Whatever you want.
All right. Anyway, so this is the first national
Sure.
poll, I believe, that Donald Trump has pulled out in front to lead. Are you surprised?
I'm not surprised. It's really simple. If you keep banging someone around, criticizing them, and carrying on and talking about them, what do you think is going to happen?
I would say my first initial reaction would be people won't like him.
Nah. Donald, and he's, you know, when he talks about Mexican Americans and others, he's really making a very valid point.
He is.
Trump is very well liked by average people in the street. They think he's a tough guy. He's like them, even though he's not like them, but he's a tough guy. He fights. He's the kind of person they want. You know, if you went to the announcement, never mind the idea that people were paid, but in the streets, I mean, the people in the streets weren't paid. Who were they? Black, Latin, blue collar. I mean, those are Trump's people, and his style tends to relate to them.
And isn't that what Hillary is I digress here for a second, but isn't that what Hillary is trying to be, the champion of the average person, and here Trump is emerging as that?
What people aren't understanding, and you and I have had
Isn't
this
that a brilliant
discussion
point or
on
something?
this,
Yeah.
yeah, quite brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Take 2 bicarbonate soda and call me tomorrow. What we've discussed on this program before is this populist kind of thing going on. When there's a vacancy, insurgents tend to win. Hillary's not an insurgent. Donald Trump is an insurgent. Jeb Bush is not an insurgent. Walker, the governor of Wisconsin, is an insurgent. John Kasich, if he gets in, will be an insurgent, on and on and on. Insurgents tend to win open slots. Right now, the insurgent that people are paying attention to with a populist rhetoric on the right is Donald Trump, and on the left, it's Bernie Sanders.
All right, now, so what does Trump have to do to maintain this? So he keeps this up for another month. He gets on the stage in the debate. I know we'll talk about this as it gets closer,
right.
But I mean, I would have to think he's going to re-impress the people he's impressed, and draw a lot more that haven't been impressed by his frankness, openness, and the way he handles himself on that stage.
What Republicans are looking for is not clear yet. But one thing we do know is in a limited field with limited polling, months and months and months before these primaries start, Donald Trump is gaining a tremendous amount of steam and energy. Why? Because the imbeciles running against him can't shut up about him. If you want to,
well, they're responding actually to questions.
You want to kill somebody, don't respond. Change the discussion. That's very simple, but they're not doing that.
All right. I mentioned Nikki Haley before, and this was not my brilliant point. Someone had mentioned it, and it stuck in my mind that she has emerged as a national figure in this Confederate flag, and especially the way, not the signing so much a few minutes ago, but when she came out and spoke about it before the legislature voted on it, she just said all the right things, presented it in a very palatable manner and pleasant manner. It's still tough. Do you think that she now could wind up somehow on that ticket?
She will be discussed, and the issue for the Republicans is the same one the Democrats have. Does gender replace geography? Fiorina,
Carly Fiorina,
Fiorina would be a terrific candidate because she's got a real resume of accomplishment. People
not in government, though.
Not in government.
Yeah.
In creating jobs
Right.
and the rest. She's got a terrific resume. Nikki Haley now has a terrific political resume. Will the Republicans want geography or will they want gender? If Hillary is the nominee or appears that way, they might want gender as a way to X out Hillary's ability to use gender.
All right. You saw the CNN interview, I'm sure, or at least most of it with Hillary. I could play the bites, but I'll just say what she said, and you know, being accurate here. I mean, she actually sat there and said there was no subpoena. Subpoena? What are you talking about? And now it turns out there were 3 subpoenas. Right. She said, again, she used one device. When the AP and others have reported she used more than one device. She said, I didn't have to hand anything over. When everybody I've talked to in government that's been on the show since then, you absolutely have to hand it over. I know every time I ask you, how did she get away with it, you say, because, and you have a great answer. But does she think this is going to fly, that she says there's no subpoena and they're holding up subpoenas?
I can't be in her brain. What I do know is I know nothing about what's in people's brains. I do understand politics.
Yeah.
I will tell you this again. I've said it on this program before. You can't beat nobody with nothing, as one district leader, Democratic district leader in Brooklyn told me when I was a very young man. Can't beat nobody with nothing. So what does that mean? In order for that to work, that argument, she lied, she's this, she's that, you got to have somebody on the other side who's credible making the argument. If it's a wacko right-wing nominee for the Republican Party, it doesn't matter what Hillary Clinton may or may not have done. She, guess what, will win that election. If it is someone in the mainstream and she's the nominee who can make that argument and say, look, this is about honesty and integrity. I can get America moving again. I can get our job picture better. I can create a foreign policy that protects Americans versus someone who, frankly, has not been truthful and has helped make this country a mess. You know, that kind of argument works. Okay. But it's got to be in a way that makes sense.
But all right, I know you can't get in her mind, but do you believe that it was their strategy? Do you believe that she was prepared for those kinds of questions and they purposely strategized that you will say, there was no subpoena. I didn't have to hand anything over. I did it out of the goodness of my heart. I didn't use one device. And wait, the other one was, which I can't even recall what it was, but there was another one. I mean, everything she said in those instances was just a bald-faced lie. Do they strategize to lie?
You're asking if the strategy is to lie.
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton is very smart. Don't underestimate her. Strategy to lie, likely not. Strategy to use language in a particular way, likely yes. Clintons have always been very good in language.
Well,
you know what?
Speak.
That's what lawyers do, and they are both finely trained lawyers. Okay, they did what they're supposed to.
Well, I don't think he's still a lawyer.
But let me go back.
He was disbarred, wasn't he?
I was not there. I don't drink. Anyway, let me go back. So not much. The question really you're asking me is, will the American public pay attention to this? I don't think anybody's paying attention to anything right now. Okay, people on the Republican side.
But this all builds a dossier for people.
It builds up an argument, and what will matter is if Hillary Clinton is the nominee, you'll see these news clips on the screen and on the internet banging her brains
commercials from the
especially
opposition.
if the opposition is credible.
Okay, let me ask you, Joe Biden.
Sure.
There's indications now he's going to jump in.
Sure.
And it's going to be my son, and I'm just saying, on his deathbed, because this is what they're saying, said, Dad, run. If he gets in and he starts attacking Hillary, I don't know, on foreign policy, on economics, on this, on that, she was the Secretary of State while he was Vice President. Is that a problem for her?
It's a problem for her if the emails happen simultaneously. Joe Biden is the
What do you mean if the emails happen?
Joe Biden's the email candidate. He becomes relevant if she becomes weak. He becomes the balance between Hillary on one side and Bernie Sanders on the other. And Martin O'Malley doesn't matter because he couldn't figure out how to get this going. Very handsome, looks like a Scientologist, great athlete, but hasn't gotten this going. Therefore, Scientologist. Right. The eyes are straight ahead. Anyway, that's the point. So Biden gets in, emails keep banging her brains in, he becomes more relevant.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Great conversation.
You were great. What's your name again?
Donald Malzberg Trump.
I like it.
All right, folks, we're coming back. But first, Donald Trump continues, as we've talked about, to rise in the polls. He could win the nomination, possibly. Does he have your vote? Please vote for your favorite candidate in the Newsmax poll. Go to newsmaxpolls.com, newsmaxpolls.com. Cast your vote. We're coming back.